for Kravis and Roberts. Wonderful, wonderful outfit, but part of their business model is that, you know, for employees to be part of this business, part of this effort, they also have to be shareholders. Mm-hmm. And so not only were we faced with all of these uphill challenges, you know, we were also asked, you know, to become side-by-side investors in this business. And, you know, that presents a challenge, you know, and you know, none of us, you know, came from situations where we were, you know, sitting on a lot of money. None of us came from situations where we were prior executives. Mm-hmm. So we also had that challenge and that huge risk that we voluntarily took on. But we took that risk because we had a vision and we really fundamentally believed in what we were doing and really saw the need for investment in transmission and saw the business opportunity that could get us there.
Well, you've just described what I would call the entrepreneurial spirit at its best. But it wasn't as if you did this kind of willy-nilly. You knew what you were doing. You planned every step of the way. And your background must have been of some help in all of this. Tell us, what was your formal training, your education, mm-hmm. so that others who may aspire to be mm-hmm. becoming entrepreneurs can get a little bit of a feel for what it takes, Linda?
Sure. Well, from a formal education perspective, I graduated right down the road here from Michigan State University. I had a degree in public affairs. And in fact, worked right here in the legislature for a couple of years when I started, which really gave me a great foundation and sort of understanding sort of the politics, if you will, and sort of the political influences that any business faces every day. And that gave me a sort of a fundamental appreciation grounding for the community, the political environment, government in and of itself. I then, you know, started working at Detroit Edison, worked in their regulatory area for probably the better part of 8 years. Mm-hmm. And, you know, as a public utility, we are a regulated business, and so I really was on that sort of that forefront of not only being a regulated business and sort of what the, you know, kind of how you operate within a regulated environment, but also on the policy side of the company, because as you mentioned, when we were mm-hmm. going through the restructuring debate in the late 90s and early 2000s, really got to understand, you know, where this industry was going. You know, what did the customer want, and really got to be part of that and understand that. And so I really got to sort of develop a very broad perspective and broad view on the business. Mm-hmm. And you know what that business interface was with the public, with our customers, and with the regulatory agencies that regulated us. I then went back to school and got my MBA because, you know, I felt as though for me personally to grow, mm-hmm. I wanted to sort of have, you know, some more tools in my tool bag, if you will. I wanted to have a more solid understanding and grounding of the financial side of the business. You know, what makes money for shareholders? Where do shareholders see value? And how do we drive value at the same time of driving value for customers? So I went back, got my MBA, you know, which obviously is sort of the formal training, mm-hmm. But you know, as with any business, the real training comes with on-the-job experience. And you know, my perspective, my attitude is that, you know, you have to, you know, allow yourself to be trained. You have to, you know, look mm-hmm. to somebody, you know, others inside the company and understand why they're successful and what it is they bring to the table that you need to aspire to. And one of the things, you know, I fundamentally, and I say this over and over again, you know, I think for any, you know, young person, whether, you know, female, male, mm-hmm. As you enter the workforce, more than anything, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to find a mentor, and find a mentor who not only, you know, understands the business, but really has that patience and has that understanding of what you need as an individual to grow. And somebody who can give you, you know, kind of the constructive mm-hmm. criticism. Mm-hmm. They can tell mm-hmm. you know, what you did well, what you didn't do so well, where you need to grow, where you need to focus. And, you know, and I think fundamentally you have to be willing to take risks to grow in any type of career. You have to take personal risks. You have to move outside your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. But you have to do it in a way, you know, as I always say, in no one company can one person, you know, bring the house of cards down. There's typically there's a whole structure in place. No one person can have, you know, a negative impact, and so you have to be willing to put yourself out there and take risks. but do it under the guidance and leadership of somebody who wants to see you grow and somebody who wants to see you do well.
Linda, and I imagine you will take that philosophy and help others even within the specter of ITC and help them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the important things being an executive is obviously bringing leadership to the table. So hard for me and many of the others at ITC, we were so much down in the weeds, and we were doers, and we like to get our hands dirty, and we like to do things. But what you quickly come to realize as you grow an organization, as you become bigger and bigger, you have to provide leadership, and your employees look to you for leadership. An important critical role of leadership is developing your employees. You have to understand, where your employees' strengths are. Where do they need to grow? And I am a big advocate and supporter. Take an employee from the job they've been doing for the better part of 5 years, 10 years, and putting them into a totally different job. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I believe it not only helps the employee and in their personal growth, their personal understanding, but it helps the company. When you have employees that understand a broader spectrum of the company and how it works, ultimately that's going to be long-term more successful for the company. And so, every day, as a leader, you have to not only provide the resources and tools for all your employees to do their job and do it well and do it effectively, but you have to provide the space, the growth, and the environment to allow your employees to grow. And I spend, a considerable amount of time looking at, how are we designed in an organization? Are we optimal? Where do we need more staff? Where do we need to bring in a young employee because we know 5 years from now this person's going to retire, this person's going to leave. A tremendous amount of work on succession planning efforts, developing the bench, developing the skills so that you can transfer that knowledge to the new person coming in the door. And so often, what you find in our business, it's the newer, the younger employees that bring the new perspectives to the table, the new ideas, because they're not set in their ways. And we spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of my time, identifying, how we're going to grow this business, not just for today, not just for tomorrow, but how, where are we going to be 5 years from now? Where are we going to be 10 years from now? And that's what I feel my job is as a leader, and sort of what I focus on every day is getting the best, highest performance out of our employees. But I want our employees to be satisfied and feel like they too are personally growing, that they're just not at the behest of the company.
And contributing as a whole team. And I really feel that is a strength of your organization. You've described it so well. It is no wonder that Cranes then, just this past few months, made you one of the top 40, under 40 years of age in our state. That is an incredible achievement, and it's really very fitting that they have honored you with this award for all that you have done to make ITC, a success.
Sure.
And it's right here. So if anyone wants to get it, it's right here. The class of 2007, 40 under 40. What a tremendous class you are a part of. And you are a class act. There's no two ways about it. I want to also talk to you a little bit about the game plan that once you could show that you were being successful, this was going to work and work well, you then branched out to even bigger and better things.
Sure.
You became a member of the New York Stock Exchange, and you are publicly traded and doing well. Also, you're expanding not only the lower peninsula here, but now to other states.
Sure.
To Iowa, I believe, and Minnesota.
Yes.
Share how does this all work? Are you or ITC interconnecting these transmission lines to bring, as we know, the all-important electricity to a wide range? And importantly, I want to underscore, you're doing this with tremendous amounts of investment to improve the grid.
Sure.